Fáilte go Scrogall TV, enough Táid sa Dangan. It's Féile na Bealtaine and we're here outside Macks pub where they're having their annual poetry reading morning. Let's go inside and have a look and see what magic is about to unfold.
Macks Féile agus 3 days an seo ag Féile na Bealtaine. Day 3 of the festival, and the wonderful thing about Macks Poetry Morning, of course, is that it's probably the best excuse to drink porter before the Angelus that you're going to go. Anyway, míle fáilte go léir an seo tá súlgan munisib antainine was an wadan filiochta seo tá neart fili an seogain is mór an honor doing Cathy Darcy, Mick Mulcahy agus Paul Muldoon a bheith in our downtaling an seo maidin inniu chomáile sin ha trúr cahar fili eile I láthair freisin agus beme a dléach ar sun chomá ceanna rina maidine agus tá Glen de Levy going chomá ceanna agus beag Glen a casa cúpla árán doing agus a denna túnachan dó héin ar an guitar. So we're gate fáilte, you're all very welcome to Macks Poetry Morning. And before we do anything more now, I'm going to have a little sup in my pint here. And I'd like to introduce our first poet, our first reader this morning, and that is Cathy Darcy.
The first place I ever read at a literary festival 3 or 4 years ago, so it's really nice to be back in Macks. I won't talk too much. I'll read a poem from my collection, so with the kind of my medical background is fairly obvious. This is from Grant's Atlas. Inferior vena cava, as it is properly known, surrounded by black, stagnant blood and the beat of the drum. If I work hard enough, I will come to the writhing bowl of your right atrium, and then the possibilities are endless. I can sit quite still, with a choking gutful of irony wine, and allow my foreignness to disrupt the smooth flow. Turbulence, that is called.
Will we have a little break for a piece of music and a song maybe from Glen? Again, we're very delighted to have Glen de Levy here with us. Astrali, good Glen.
Well, here I am. Everything I ever wanted at my feet. Broken down, yet I still feel complete. The light shines down on what I used to be. Yet you still wanna stand so close to me. And you are my spotless mind. Everything I needed to find. You took my wings and you taught me to fly. You've broken me down, you taught me to cry. I was sitting watching the world pass on by. Just waiting for a dream to fall through my blinds. Oh, and then you walked through my door. Yes, you walked through my door, and you walked through my door, didn't you?
Poetry, and then we moved on to song, and we're going to move on now to theatre and to playwriting, and I'd like to introduce to you one of Dingle's resident playwrights. He's not from Dingle originally, he's from all the way over the hill, and he's known as Mick from over the hill sometimes, and that's Mick Mulcahy, ladies and gentlemen.
Out of the corner of my eye, I spot Mitchum en route to the toilets, and at this stage I'm feeling like my 2 shoulder reins are every bit as broad as his, and as he passes me by, don't I let out a roar at him. How are you, Bob, says I. Besides me, like. Wherever you swear myself and Mitchum, we're lifelong buddies, like. Me, the son of the man that's the smallest fishing boat in the harbour, and he's the biggest movie star on the planet, and everyone else is calling him Mr. Mitchum, and how are you, Bob, says I. He looks at me up and down, and he taps me on the head, and he smiles. He's good, son, he says. And with that, he swaggers into the jacks for himself. When he's out of sight, the whole place erupts. From here on the streets, being roared at me is how are you, Bob? And in no time didn't Bob become Bobbine and the name shtick like. To this day, I'm Bobbine, and there are fellas in this town wouldn't have a notion what my real name is. Bobbine I am, and Bobbine I'll be forevermore, thanks to Mr. Mitchum and the power of Porter. Miss Miles, they call her. And you'd walk a million miles with one of her smiles, as the song says. I swear to God, like this woman looks and smells like no woman I've ever seen before, with the lovely soft skin. And we have to do a scene where we pull her out of the house. I don't know why we don't ask questions, but we have to pull her out the door for whatever reason. I'm up close to her, and doesn't she brush real close to me. I'm not joking, I swear, 'tis a lucky job. Lean shouts, "Break for lunch," 'cause I can hardly walk straight. So I'm trying to hide myself. One thing's for sure, the summer of 1969 was one hell of a summer. Robert Mitchell bought me my first drink, and Sarah Miles. Ah well.
Speaks of devils in plain clothes, lie beneath her at night, so she'll never be alone. Gift her with promises of Paris and of all the places she'll roam. Gift her with promises of rabbit holes she may someday go.
Bugga Araigidi and Trio Féile Madninov. And this man needs no introduction, but I'm going to introduce him anyway. And that's Paul Muldoon here beside me. Paul has written over 30 collections of poetry, I believe, probably 32 or 33 at this stage.
Lost track.
Lost track. Pulitzer Prize winning poet, T.S. Eliot Award winning poet, Professor of Humanities in Princeton. And apart from all that, he's actually a fantastic poet.
Dingle is a very special place for me because in 1986 my woman with whom I was living at the time, who's now my wife, and I spent most of the year here, so I'll read it. She can't be here today, but I'm going to read it with her in mind. So, come back. We were introduced by Bruce at the Stone Pony. All that concentrated juice, standing room only. You were with some suit from EMI or Sony, who was so full of toot, he called for Moni. You came back to the slum, the squat with Lars and Sammy. Then Lanois' green thumb grew us a golden Grammy. And then our double album hit a double whammy. When it reached #1, we reached for our Swami to make a comeback. A comeback, don't you see? It's time to come back. Come back to me. Pleasure to be part of this, to hear these great songs, this wonderful play, and these great poems. It won't ring true. Once your spray tan and my fake ID would take us anywhere we needed to be in this world or the next. Now I've set aside my feelings for the pain you've been revealing in your most recent text. My pride is hard to swallow and my promise overdue, but if a promise isn't hollow, you know it won't ring true. Your idea that I might take a plane through sleet and freezing rain is so vacuous. Don't forget the whopper Buddy told the big bopper about getting off the bus. Buddy had played the Apollo to victorious reviews. But if a victory isn't hollow, you know it won't ring true. You said I was talking hot air. I was talking through my hat. I was striking the wrong chord. I was either sharp or flat.
Gur sé fáilte mhór rih an scríbhneoir, an Féile, an seandálaí, agus an dramadór Simon Ó Féile.
Tá fód cruig le seocht I glocht an gréine, behíg na staice cogant gal as náde. Seasan na hard chnic cúplach an gérán is a fointe, níl na hamcha tácht asagat, na fiú na focad, ach an rud a ectar. Táid filte imrat gealbán si méadrach, te bíocht as cligan gréagach, le ilinacha cuoine rialta gairíar an dáhéar, go dí dígan a dá bhuaice, gus cruchta idir an dá rion súd an dromtaní in a chóir fuirfe. Corán díalata chapel cruig na crinne, nó bawa a chóirthe an raim ag léach a limpach a bhóilan súid na sprice le gachíarach. Nó bawa hiúpa dos ciún bara beol a méthe a chuir an tochasonin chun a póige. Ach ní ha ní hiad, táid na saoililig súd dultar fáiríal. Mar anis is cuinnm crut muirga siimplí lán mistéire, in a cheasamh I dúil dúganí I lár an sa.
I'm here with Paul Muldoon, and he has just finished reading from his poetry collection here at Dick Macks this morning. Hi Paul, thanks for joining us.
Not at all, it's a pleasure. I arrived just last night, so this was the first thing I've seen was in Dick Macks, and you know, it's so wonderful to be able to spend time in a pub. Actually, nobody much was drinking in it, listening to music, some great songs and some local poets. And I mean, when I say local poets, I would love to think of myself as a local poet, in fact, because I lived in Dingle for most of 1986. I come back here quite a lot, and I feel very attached to the place. I think in many ways it's my favourite place in Ireland. You know, I was brought up in County Armagh, and I love this, love that of course, but Dingle has and this peninsula has a very special place in my heart, and I think the hearts of many people.
Yeah. And I think you got a very warm welcome here this morning.
I hope so. I mean, it's a lovely. There was a nice feel of the place.
Yeah.
Well, the people are, you know, the people were so smart and so funny that you know, it makes it easy. And there were a few hilarious things happening there along the way, with, you know, connections being made and stories being told.
Mm-hmm.
So you know, I think people enjoy a good story here. They enjoy a song, and the tradition of sort of making one's own entertainment, I think it's still somewhat present in this part of the world. In a way it's not everywhere else. You know, people are so reliant nowadays on you know, all sorts of images from around the world to sort of excite them. I mean, the best thing to do, as far as I'm concerned, I tell my children this, insofar as I can, or suggest it to them. You can't tell them anything, of course. Suggest to them that being able to make their own entertainment is the greatest gift one can have. To make your own film, to write your own song, to write your own poem. It's a wonderful thing to be able to do, and sort of to amuse yourself of an evening, tell a few stories, sing a few songs. It's just a beautiful thing.
It's great. So what's on your agenda at the moment? What are you up to these days?
These days, well, I do various things. I'm a teacher by profession, I suppose. So I teach poetry mostly at Princeton University. But then I'm always trying to write something. So I'm hoping to be able to continue to write a few poems, trying my best. It's getting harder and harder all the time to do that.
Why is that?
I don't know. It shouldn't be harder, but it is. I mean, one would expect that, you know, the more one has done it, and I've been trying to do it for a long time, the easier it would get, but that just doesn't seem to be the case at all. So it takes me a long time now to write. It always took me a long time to write a line.
It's great. Well, I hope you enjoy the rest of your weekend in Dingle, and thanks a million for joining us. We're here with Michael Hillard Mulcahy, who has just read from his play inside in Dick Macks, and it's called Sarah Miles and Me. Hi Michael, thanks for joining us. Did you enjoy the reading this morning?
Yeah, it was fun, and it was nice to share the billing, really. I didn't expect to do so with Paul Muldoon, who's a very renowned and brilliant poet. So I enjoyed that. And I enjoyed reading. It was a lovely, relaxed atmosphere, and I felt very relaxed to read it in there, and I felt at home, you know, with the piece. It's a play. I suppose it's about the town, or inspired by the town. It chronicles the life of a fisherman called Bobbeen, and 40 years of his life, which he takes us through from 1969 to 2009. And he goes on a bit of an adventure, and it's a choppy water for him. And the feedback has been brilliant. We had a reading here in the town last week, and I read there this morning, and the feedback we're getting from people is fantastic. So I'm looking forward to the full production of the piece. We're going to do it a small, low-budget production to kick off it at the Viking Theatre in Clontarf in July, and I'm hoping that it might be possible to do a few preview nights here at the Beehive Theatre before that in late June. And Don Wycherley has agreed to play the part of Bobbeen, even though I enjoyed it a lot myself this morning. I might sack him. But both of us are too young. But Don has agreed to do it, and that's great, because he was fantastic in it when we had the reading last week. And I've been working with him, and it's I'm hoping it'll be a long journey, and that the play will go on and on and on, and that's what I hope. That's what I hope for us. But it's important to start it nice and simple and small, and let it build with a very simple set and maybe very simple lighting to kick off. So I'm hoping we're back here at Féile in the Bealtaine next year for a full production of the play, and hopefully in June we can preview it for a couple of nights for an audience. This is its home, and this is where it should begin, and I'm hoping that's what will happen. So looking forward to it.
So you're a
busy man,
and you have your play coming up in
I have a tour,
in November.
Beyond the Brooklyn Sky tours, October, November. Red Kettle production directed by Peter Sheridan. Goes to the Everyman in Cork, the Town Hall in Galway, the Pavilion, and the Civic in Dublin, and many other places. And it comes to Shiamsa on the 30th and 31st of October. Shiamsa Tira. Very much a different piece, a 7-hander ensemble piece set in Brandon, a sort of a reunion amongst 40-somethings getting together in an old hall that they hung out in their youth, and it's much liked, and I'm hoping that it'll do well for us on the road. So I'm looking forward to that too.
And it's a great achievement to have your own play on your home territory, so to speak.
Yeah, that's a bit special. All right, it's nice when that happens, and hopefully it'll continue to happen.
Well, best of luck now with the rest of your summer, and thanks for joining us. So there you go. That's just a little taste of what's happening here in Dingle for Féile in the Bealtaine. It has been magical. Thanks for joining us. Slán.